Hello, yes, a good morning, a good afternoon, or a good evening to you, however you may be listening and wherever you may be listening. This is the Fulham Focus podcast coming to you once again after one of our many firsts of the season. We had our first game. I'll list this every time just so we can rattle off the first. We had our first game against Palace, our first goal against Spurs, our first win against Burnley, and now we have our first away point. Those very crucial away points that will be oh so vital to us in our charge for European places or relegation scrap, depending on how optimistic you are over the season. But enough from me. It's time to introduce the guests. And there's two guests rather, tonight. So let's go by introducing them. First, we shall introduce Jmac to the conversation. Jay, a good evening to you.
Hello.
Good. Why are you saying it like that? We know you have a posh voice. You don't have to overemphasize it.
I know, I just try and live up to it. I'm sorry.
Okay, just try to live up to it. Is that you're trying to create a character out of this? Is that what you're trying to do?
I'm just trying to be a bit more interesting, Matthew. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. And let's say I don't want to say a lower class other guest, but seeing as Jmac wants to do it, well, the peasant of the group, let us introduce Matt. A good evening to you, Matt.
Good evening. You don't want to say it, but you did anyway.
Yeah, I didn't want. It's fine. Blame Jmac for wanting to create the character. Everyone is lower. Everyone is scum compared to him in his eyes. Is basically what he's trying to go. Right. Enough about us. Let's get on to the game. And Brighton away. 2-2 draw. I don't think we need to get much into the ins and outs. Everyone knows Seri, very good pass for the assist. Well done him. Was it a handball from Mitrovic? Yes, it probably was. I don't think there's really much more that we need to say. Well done, Betts, on his penalty save. Yada, yada, yada. Let's get into it. Matt, do you think the team selection was right? Obviously, the big one was dropping Joe Bryan and playing Le Marchand at left back. Was that something that you were in favour of, or do you think that Slav got the team wrong?
Yeah, I think he got it wrong. Le Marchand has been a lot of people's kind of early best player so far, but watching him against Brighton, I think he had a really, really poor game. Not just defensively, even though he gave the ball away a few times. It was more that he really struggled to get beyond the halfway line. You know, because of that meant Andre Schürrle had a lot to do, and even though he scored, he had a lot of work. He had quite a tricky game, and their right back Montoya, all he had to do really was kind of step inside, show Schürrle down the line, and we weren't much of a threat down that side. You can see what Slav tried to do. You know, Le Marchand's got more height than Joe Bryan, and he's more defensive, but that didn't really work out. You know, he didn't win a great deal of headers that I can remember, and he was quite sloppy with his passing. So for all the kind of the reasons Slav might have gone for it, I think it worked against us in the end, and it didn't really work out. And looking back at the time, it looked a bit strange, and looking back, it was the wrong decision.
Okay, so you say Le Marchand is a more defensive player than Joe Bryan. Do you think maybe this is, a picking aside of home games and aside for away games where you're meant to be more defensive, or do you still think that, 4 games in, he's still trying to experiment, or do you think that, Le Marchand's going to be a permanent left back for away games going forward?
I don't think he'll be a permanent fixture. I think, as you say, Slav is still trying to work out what his best team is. I can see where he's going by being a bit more defensive away from home, but Brighton aren't the most attacking team as it is, and it kind of goes against the way we play, that high risk, high reward, we'll outscore you kind of thing. And I don't think we can get away from that too much because, let's face it, we don't have a very strong defence. So if we put the emphasis on the defence, it's not going to work out, at least in these early stages while they're still getting to know each other.
Yeah. Now, Jmac, rather, you were one of Joe Bryan's biggest fans over the summer. You were a fan of him before he even joined. So are you on the Slav out brigade since he dropped your favourite player, or do you think that he made the right call?
As Matt was sort of hinting to, I think I could understand what Slav was trying to do and what you said as well. I think he wanted to add a tiny bit more muscle, but then again, that sort of compromised the attacking from the left and made Schürrle completely, not as effective as he should have been and had to do a lot more defensive work than necessary. So I feel I was disappointed that Bryan wasn't there, but I understand why he did it, and I think we've learned from that mistake to not make sure that doesn't happen again. I think Joe Bryan, just to say, has been his step up from nearly going to Aston Villa and from Bristol City has been immense. He's been wonderful, and I hope we do see him next week against City. That'll be a good game for him to play. The next 2 weeks, rather.
Now, Le Marchand was pushed out to left back, assumingly to accommodate now presumably fit, because we got 90 minutes out of him, Alfie Mawson. Again, I make this question: do we think Slav knows his ideal? He knows his ideal team yet, because there's still a little bit of chopping and changing. Do you think we're now settled at least on a back four? We're gonna get into the midfield in a second, but in terms of a back four, I think we can agree that Fosu Mensah is going to be the first team right back going forward. There's still a little bit of a debate about whether or not Dennis Adoy is Premiership quality, a Premiership quality centre-back. I personally don't think he is, but no, I can't say that Marcus Bettinelli deserves his fair shot after being immense in the Championship season without saying at least Adoy gets a fair dig, and at least a try to be in the Premier League. Alfie Mawson, I think, is a Premier League centre back. Le Marchand, I think, is a Premier League centre back, and Joe Bryan is a Premier League left back. But obviously, something's got to give. Jay, do you think that this is the the first team back four, or do you think that we're likely to see Callum Chambers coming in, or maybe Cyrus Christie starting a right back? What do you think our best back four should be?
I think it's still very early days for our back four, unfortunately. It should have been, we should know by now. But I think when Tim Ream's fit, that it could actually be that Mawson and Tim Ream become actually quite a formidable pair in the middle. Mensah has been good, but he has let himself down on 2 occasions now for me, but against Brighton and against Burnley, for not tracking back a bit too high up and a bit too attacking minded, which is good for Slav's system, but still not as defensively sound, in my opinion, as Christie has been on occasion. But I think it all depends on Ream, and I think Ream will have a huge part to play when fit again, and I think Mawson will be alongside him for sure.
See, so here's the thing. So as I've said many times, Matt, I'll come to you in a second. With the amount of signings we gave, we're in a bit of a conundrum. Do you give faith to the team that got us promoted, or do you go for this new young blood? Because something's got to give. So going forward, I think we've suggested in a couple of podcasts, the Spurs one, I think it was, maybe going to a back five, which would then accommodate more of the centre backs / wing backs / full-backs, however you wish to see them. Again, do you see this going with a back four or back five, and what do you think our first team should be?
I think we need to stick with the back four. Simply because I think I made the point in a few shows ago. I think we'd give up too much attacking wise if we went 3 at the back with wing backs. Certainly at home we have wingers or Slav likes to play the wingers, wing backs who bomb forward and get in front of their man. And with 3 at the back, you've only got one man, one wide player. That won't work. You would kind of lose the threat down the flanks, I think. So I think we stick with 4. Joe Bryan obviously is in there. I can't call Christie and Fosu Mensah. I think Fosu Mensah may have just a bit more speed, but I think Christie's better going forward. And certainly, as I said, at home, I think that's what we should go with. Adoy, I was going to come on tonight and say, credit where it's due. He had a great game because it looked like he did. And then I watched the replay of their opening goal. And, Jmac has said he was, Fosu Mensah was caught out of position, but Adoy, he can see where Mawson's going. Mawson is tracking his man, which I think is Basuma. And Adoy doesn't need to follow him. And he leaves a huge gap behind him for Glenn Murray, of all people, to leave wide open to score. So there was just an absolute calamity at the back there from 3 out of the 4 defenders. So I think we do need to stick, instead of mixing and matching like Slav seems to be doing, he needs to pick 4 and give them a run of games, which I think should be Bryan, Ream, Mawson, and Christie for me.
Okay, that's fine. And moving further forward, we had the injury news. I was going to say crisis for a moment, but we don't know until fully know until when Tom Cairney's going to be back. Tom Cairney, it is Tom Cairney. The addition of Kevin McDonald into the midfield and also as captain. Again, Jmac, is that something that you agree with? The midfield of Siri, McDonald, and Anguissa? Is that because there was a lot of talk. I saw someone mentioning having Andre Schürrle as that Tom Cairney in central midfield. A lot of people saying we should go for Stefan Johansson, who obviously a little bit more steel and grit in the centre midfield, particularly for an away game. Did you agree with that midfield three, or do you think we could have gone another way?
To be honest, when I saw the lineup, I was actually quite annoyed because I thought this would be the perfect type of game for Johansson. And I was quite disappointed to see him come on quite late with Ryan Sessegnon later on as a sub. But I thought Anguissa actually played very well. And he actually really surprised all of us that he is quite good at going forward. I mean, it's obviously because of him that we got the first goal that led to the pass to Seri. And it was wonderful to see Kevin McDonald finally wear the armband. I haven't seen him wear it in ages. He's always going to be our captain. Well, my captain anyway. And I thought the three of them actually worked very well. I can't really fault that. I think Anguissa made some really nice passes, and I thought Kevin McDonald was really, quite renowned with what he was doing on the pitch with his communication, being a leader as ever. I think what I do think is that we definitely did miss Tom Kearney. We will always miss Tom Kearney, and a lot of people think there's not enough room for Seri and Kearney to be on the pitch, that they play too much of a similar role. But I think actually they very, very good together, and I hope that it's not too long, his injury.
Okay, Matt, same question to you.
Yeah, I think the fact that Kenny was missing did show that Seri and Kenny can work together, because I thought it was the right decision to put Anguissa in. I didn't think he played as well as Jmac thought. I feel like Seri did everything in the middle, with K-Mac obviously sitting back so deep and just protecting the back four. I think we needed a bit more of an attacking player alongside that, because Tom Kearney sort of naturally presses up, and I think we wouldn't have been quite so deep if it was Kearney instead of Anguissa. Similar with Johansson, I suppose, because he's more box to box, and he's not afraid to really get forward without the ball. Anguissa did all right, but I was expecting to see more of a kind of physical performance from him, and I don't think he quite took it by the scruff of the neck as I was expecting him.
Okay, and moving on forward again, we had the discussion many weeks ago about whether or not we should drop Ryan Sessegnon. I think, proof in the pudding, I think it's starting to show that maybe, Ryan Sessegnon, it was the right decision to drop him. Maybe he's not that quite ready for the Premier League yet. We don't know. I'm certainly erring on the side of caution when it comes to him, because I don't want him to be, demoralised and burnt out far too early. You don't want to put him in, get a whole load of 5 out of 10 performances, ruin his confidence and ruin his career. I don't think it will, but you got to err on the side of caution. The inclusion of Vieto and Schürrle as the two wingers, with the ever on fire Mitrovic up front. Again, do we think that now we've settled on a front three, Jmac, or do you think that there's still some twists and turns to be had?
I think potentially there were some twists and turns. I like Vieto had a poor game, in my opinion. He was immense the one before. And Ryan Sessegnon, I think, has been actually a victim of having such a good season last in the Championship and all this hype around him winning all these awards, that he's been back-pocketed by every right back, and he hasn't actually had a chance to really express himself. And I was really happy. I mean, even though he didn't score, that run that he made towards the end of the game was very good on the eye. But I think what we need, I'd like to see more of AK, to be honest. I thought I was desperate for AK to come on in this game, and I don't think that Vieto will necessarily be starting every match. But I think Schürrle and Mitro are definitely solid and will remain where they are. Okay,
Matt, over to you.
Yeah, Sessegnon, I think he's got a big role to play, probably especially away from home, where he can cover the flank a bit more. Especially if we use Joe Bryan and attack down that flank. He's a different kind of player to Schürrle, who gets the ball, cuts in. Sessegnon is much more about sort of getting into space and rather than taking on his man. And I did enjoy when he came on, actually, that they looked terrified. I didn't think Montoya, their right back, had a great deal to do. When Sessegnon came on, they sort of centre back came over. I think it was Duffy, and that chance that J-Mac talks about, he got round two of them and then Dunk as well. And I saw, I was looking up at the top corner exactly where he scored against Derby, and I thought that was happening again, and there would have been absolute scenes in the away end. But it wasn't to be. And I think he sort of just didn't quite decide where he wanted to put it. And he would have deserved that goal for that run. But I think he's got a big role to play. He's going to have to be happy with not playing as many minutes, because Schürrle, for me at the moment, is the absolute pick of our signings. He looks fantastic, and I think he can easily get 10, maybe 15 goals this season.
See, now I'm of the view, I think I said this towards the end of last season, Abubakar Kamara is a fantastic impact sub. And again, I sort of agree. I think that this would have been a game where you bring him on late on against tiring legs. And even if you swap both the wingers, swap both Vieto and Schürrle and have just fresh legs, Sessegnon and Kamara, providing they're on the correct wings. We don't want to have a Kamara on the left, Sessegnon on the right debate again. But as long as they're doing their jobs properly, I absolutely think there's room to have them both as impact sub. Now, our boss, Danny, insists that we talk about this, and I want to stay on his good sides because I quite like doing this job. Alexander Mitrovic, the penalty, do we think it was a penalty, or do we think he was harshly treated? Matt, you first.
Penalty.
Jmac?
Stone cold penalty.
I agree it was a penalty. There we go. We discussed it. Everyone agrees. And we're agreeing on the first one as well. On Glenn Murray.
No.
Oh, well, no penalty. Okay.
It was a penalty, but he was offside, wasn't he?
Exactly.
And okay. I was chatting to a Brighton fan today at work, and he was like, well, he didn't touch the ball, did he? Well, no, but he practically shielded the ball from all the defenders. So if that's not interfering with play, then I don't know what is. It was offside, shouldn't have been given, but great save. And if they'd have scored that would have changed the game completely. So even though they didn't score, I'm pretty annoyed that was given.
Fine. And that brings an end to our debate on Brighton. Now it's time for a very special debate.
Fulham.
Right, now, as many of you know, or many of you may not know, depending on your interest in the Little White, that's a copyrighted phrase, by the way. I don't want anyone using that willy-nilly. The Little White is a phrase of mine. Are in the Checkatrade Trophy. Who's sniggling? Who's laughing at my name?
You can keep it, it's fine.
Right, good. I'm happy with that. They have been drawn in a group with Wycombe Wanderers. Much like a tree falling in a wood, if no one's there to hear it, did it make a sound? If Fulham don't play Wycombe Wanderers at some point during a season, did it really happen? So our senior side have had a fair crack at it in recent years. Now it's time for the little ones to do so. You've also been drawn with Oxford United and Northampton Town. I don't want to get too much into sort of preview about this because, we've got one match tomorrow against Oxford and I can't really preview the 3 games because it just get confusing with, who's going to be in the side or not. I was initially going to do this based on how many goals is Thor Steinson going to score, but he's been sent out alone, so that scraps that. But we're just going to have a general debate because it's a very controversial topic about whether or not the Checkatrade Trophy, A, should exist, and B, the format of it, and C, should Fulham be taking part in it? Is it beneficial for our players? I'm going to sort of start off with my view because I'm very, very, very pro Checkatrade Trophy, as I was, because it's developed from the Johnson's Paint / LDV Van / Leyland Daff of the years gone by, and it's it's evolved into what it is now. I personally think that the more games that academy and young players get against grown men is a good thing. There's only so much you can do. George Williams has had this, when he's now at Forest Green, but he had this. He was stuck in our academy for so long, playing against people of his own age, his own size, where it would have been much more beneficial for him to be sent out on loan, as he was to MK Dons, and playing against men, getting used to a more physical style, and also being used to different types of tactics and different types of formations. And when you introduce the under-23s into this system, I can't see a negative to it. I've heard many teams saying, it's a way to, it's testing the waters for when B teams inevitably come in. I don't think that's going to happen in the future, and this is just a fair compromise. Why not have these players playing? It's more games as a start as well. It's a minimum of 3 games that the academy kids are going to have in their season, and it's going to be more beneficial to them because against grown men, so they can get used to a more physical style. Physical style, that's going to be the trademark, the main word, the word of the day for this topic, and I'm going to stick with it. And I personally think that it's a competition we can do well in. We've seen how well our academy does over the years, with our FA Youth Cup run in 2014. So why not give these young kids a chance? And as I've said, it's a chance to get to Wembley at the end of it. And I don't care what you say, I'm sticking to it. Any Fulham team that makes an appearance at Wembley, regardless of the competition, It is something that you should get behind. Someone's laughing, and I don't.
Sorry.
Sorry, I'm not moving on this subject. If the Fulham under-23 side got to Wembley, I don't care. It's a team in white or blue, depending on if we have to change our kit, whatever.
Or black or
Playing
red.
at Wembley, we should get behind it. Does anyone want to, come against me on this issue? I'd gladly take it.
I'll have
Jake,
a
I'll go to you first.
go. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, who wants to go first? Sorry, I misheard. Who wants to go first? Matt, I think it was you.
Yeah,
Go.
I mean, I'm not that bothered. B, I mean, I get the idea of giving youth players experience, against men, against proper teams, against different tactics and whatever. But it's a couple of games a season, isn't it? I'm not really sure it's going to give them that much experience. I don't know how much the other teams in the competition really care about it. It's not like playing in a league match. And you said, the people are against the fact that it's sort of a way in to get B teams into the league. Actually, that's not such a bad idea. It's done well in Spain. It's done well in Spain. Germany have it as well, where they're kind of under-19 teams sometimes get promoted. They don't seem to last long and they go down again. But playing, in the league against proper teams, that would be a good experience for them. Playing a few games in some no-name trophy that no one really cares about, I don't think that's a particularly good thing.
See, now I take your point with B. I would be for the B team, but I don't think it's going to happen. So I think this is a fair comment. I would be all for, the Fulham under-23 side instead of playing Stoke and Middlesbrough and QPR and whatever. I'd much rather them going into the conference personally, or whatever combined counties league, or is the Isthmian League still a thing? Whatever that league is.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, it's still that. I didn't know if it was a sponsored name or whatever. I'd much rather them go into that than playing teams of again under-23 sides. Because it's not even every week. They sometimes take weeks off. Jmac, do you have anything that you want to add to this?
You might have to correct me on my facts because I've done a lot of research and reading about it. What I don't seem to understand as a neutral on this, I'll come to my point of view as a Fulham fan, but as a neutral, I don't really understand how it's fair. And I can see as a neutral it potentially being quite an insult to lower club teams that have to play under 23 reserves, because Luton, Portsmouth and other teams were fined £15,000 a couple of years ago for pulling out full strength sides in this competition against under 23 reserves, when actually they're trying to, salvage their season and actually keep players fresh for the actual leagues they're in. Whereas the under 23s have got. Do you see where I'm going with this?
To an extent, yes.
I'm just a bit. I think it's a bit dodgy, to be honest. I don't actually think it's very. I don't know. I just don't think it's a very dignified way of actually making the competition fair. I don't think. I think it's quite insulting, actually, for lower club teams. I can imagine that the Portsmouths, the Blackpools, the AFC Wimbledons, or the Luton Towns being really, upset by the fact that they can get fined so much for not protecting their teams when they're just playing under 23 reserves. You see what I mean? But
yeah.
I take all the positive that you say on board, and I do actually think that it is any other competition that gets to promote our really quite outstanding youth academy is a winner with me. So I'm sort of being on the fence with this, but I actually, anything that promotes our academy further than the under, the FA Cup under 18s that we've done and under 23s, then that's a win for me, because we've got such a good, strong academy, and I'd love for us to show how good we are in more examples.
Absolutely, and what you're saying is a bit insulting to the lower league teams. Let's not forget that the lower they voted for this. They wanted this to happen. I think what the trade-off is, because how it usually works, because this is why you see under 23 and under 18 youth teams going up against lower league sides in pre-season games. I remember a couple of years ago I went to see under 21s, as it was back then, play Woking, and the trade-off is, again, the physical style. I'll say it again. The youth team gets used to the physical style, whereas lower league, League 2 and League 1 team, the lesser team, are surely at a skill disadvantage because these are players who are at a Premier League academy. So it's a trade-off. Everyone, each gets, a benefit. The youth teams are used to the physical style of play, whereas the League One and League Two teams get, 90 minutes against teams that are, probably going to be faster and fitter. So they get their stamina and fitness up, more likely to be, more fluid and more a bit more flair in their style of play. Can you imagine what the Manchester? I have no idea if the Manchester City Academy are in this year. I think they are, but if they're in the north, can you imagine what it's going to be like? Pep Guardiola youth going up against Rochdale. Can you imagine what the Rochdale lot are going to learn from that? It's it's a great trade-off. So that's what I think came from, and that's why there was that sort of compromise. It was put off for 1 year, where the academy teams had 2 games away and 1 game at home. Whereas now the academy team plays 3 games away and the League One and League Two teams get 2 games at home. So it's a bit of a trade-off. Everyone gets some benefit. Everyone gets some benefit out of it.
Yeah, well, in which case, I mean, I'm completely open to the idea of it being a good thing. I mean, I just looking at the fines that I saw listed, but actually, I mean, when you put it to the fact that these lower league teams will be learning from some amazing, Pep Guardiola coach teams, and then absolutely, I can imagine it is a good thing. And I just hope we get to grow our academy more and more. To be honest, there are still a lot of names in there that I want to see playing more regularly, and hopefully that can actually inspire them to come into the first team every now and then. Okay,
so have I converted you? Are you a fan? Are you going to be at Oxford tomorrow night / tonight, depending on when you're listening to this? Are you going to be there?
All right, I'll go to Oxford tomorrow.
Okay, are you going to be at Wickham when we play them?
Yeah, I'll go to Wickham, fine.
Northampton, it's a bit of a stretch, but can you going to make that? Are you going to make it?
Yeah, I'll go to Northampton. It's fine. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. Fine.
Good, Matt. See, I've got one. That's my mission done. Let's see if we can convince Matt as well. Matt, are you going to be going to Oxford tomorrow night?
You don't ask me all 3 because I'm not going to any of them. But
I've got one.
I take your point. You made a good argument. I can see the kind of the way up between physicality and the technical side of things, but I still think it's pretty much pointless overall.
Okay, so but do you think that there should be a cup competition or some way for the academies to get used to playing against grown men, or do you think it should be just under 23 stick to under 23s, under 18 stick to under 18s, seniors stick to seniors? Do you think it just be separated like that, done forever?
No, I think, like I was saying, the way the B teams done in Spain and in Germany, where the teams can get promoted and relegated through the league system. I think there's a way that could work in the long run. It would take quite a bit of kind of reorganization of the pyramid and all that kind of thing. So it will never happen, but I could see the advantage in that.
Okay, that's good. I'll take that as a half a win. So he's okay with the idea if it's just the little technical bits need a bit of working out. That's the end of debate number 1. We're going to have a debate number 2. Because I know everyone likes debate. Debate number 2 coming up. But first, we've got to go to the quiz.
Fulham.
Right, it's one of my favourite parts of the week, whenever I'm on it and whenever I'm asking the questions, so I don't have to do the answers because my word, Danny, who writes these questions, our boss, really does make them hard, and he's made them a really tough one this week. And because there's no club game for us to focus on this week and for us to preview, it's all going to be about the internationals because everyone loves international football after the great summer that was England losing in the semi-final. What a great summer it was. Everyone loves international football now despite not caring for the past 5 years. Everyone's on the bandwagon, but whatever. So we're going to have some Fulham related international quiz questions. So are you guys ready for this?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, if you're not, then we'll go with it. And it's been devised into, you both get a set of questions and we'll see. It's a bit of an odd one, but we'll go with it. The first one is going to be a yes or no round. Jmac, you have the chance to go first. Do you want set number 1 or set number 2?
Set number 2, please, Matthew.
You'll have set number 2. Okay. Okay, so this is going to be 5 questions. You're going to have to tell me whether or not these players have scored goals for their country. And these are players who have had Fulham connections in the past, okay? So Andy Cole, did he score for England?
Yes.
Yes, 15 caps.
Yes, definitely.
You're going to say yes.
Yeah.
You're wrong. He didn't.
What?
Seriously?
Nope. 15 caps, 0 goals. Okay, moving on.
Danny.
Wayne Bridge, 36 caps. Did he?
Wayne Bridge.
Yeah,
Oh God. Yes.
that is correct. He didn't give me against who. Why do I get the feeling it was against Argentina?
I get
In
the
that
feeling
game-
it was some sort of stabbed chip finish because that's the sort of goal he always scored, wasn't it?
What do you mean he always scored? When did you ever see Wayne
Well,
Bridge score a goal?
Of the 2 or 3 goals he scored in his career, I think they were both sort of stabby toe pokes.
The only goal I can remember him scoring was for Chelsea against Arsenal. That's the only one I can think of. But anyway, moving on. You get 1 point from that. Oliver Norwood, 53 caps for Northern Ireland. Has he scored?
Yes.
No, he hasn't.
Oh, for God's sake, this is ridiculous.
He's a penalty taker and everything.
Okay. Bjarni Goldbeek. I never knew
that's
how to
that one.
pronounce that name.
Okay.
Denmark, 28 caps. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Nope, he didn't score either.
God.
Thomas Callas, our great leader who's now at Bristol City. Did he score? Yes or no?
If I say no, the answer is going to be yes. I'm going to say yes again.
He did. He has scored twice
Yeah.
for the Czech Republic. In fact, one of them was in the very prestigious China Cup this year. Now that means, Matt, you get set number 1. So, Tim Ream of the USA, 26 caps. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, he has scored 1 goal.
Oh.
Chris Smalling, 31 caps for England. Yes or no?
Yes.
That's correct. He has scored 1. Eric Nevland, only 8 caps for Norway. Yes or no?
That's got to be yes.
Nope, he didn't get any.
Oh.
Cyrus Christie for the Republic of Ireland, 17 caps. Yes or no?
No.
No, that's wrong. He scored 2 goals.
2. Oh, mate, this is ridiculous.
And Michael Madill, 1 cap. Now, did he make it a Francis Jeffers type of cap?
One cap. How hard is
Or
that?
David Nugent, depending on which, 1 cap one do you wish to talk about. Michael Madill, 1 cap for Austria.
I mean, the fact that he's even a question means I'm going to say yes.
Nope, he has not scored for Austria. So, after round 1, we are tied at 2 apiece. Now, round 2, this is a higher or lower, and there are 5 points available on this. It's basically a higher or lower. Everyone's seen play your cards right. Everyone knows the system. Higher or lower, take a go from there. Matt, you get to choose. You get 1 or 2. Pick 1.
I'll stick with 1.
You'll stick with 1, okay? And this is who has the most, or, that's a higher or lower on caps earned. So, Johnny Haynes for England had 56 caps. Stephen Kelly for the Republic of Ireland. Do you want to go higher or lower?
I'm going to say higher.
You're wrong. He had 39. Okay. That means Jmac, you will start. It was going to go Lewis Beaumorte, would have been lower again on 28. Dixon Atuhu, then higher, 33. Neil Etheridge, higher again, who has 59 caps for the Philippines. And then higher again, Mohamedou Diarra, 69 caps for Mali. So, Jmac, your turn next. We'll start off with Scott Parker, 18 caps for England. Now, Steve Marley, did he have more or less caps for France than Scott Parker did for England?
More.
You're going higher?
Going higher.
You're correct. He had 23.
Good.
Now, Louis Saha, again for France, higher or lower than 23?
Higher.
Wrong, he had 20.
Oh, they're so close.
You only get 1 out of that, so it would have been 20. After that, it would have been Fernando Amorbieta, lower with 16. Then we've got a higher for Heide Helgeson, 55 caps for Iceland. And then lower, Stefan Johansson, 41 caps for Norway. Now, this one, apparently you're playing together. Guess the caps round. So I'm going to give you a player. You have to guess how many caps they got. By the way, if anyone listening to this is saying this is going on a bit, blame Danny. He writes the questions. So, round 3. Matt, you get to go first. How many caps has Alexander Mitrovic got for Serbia?
I have to get it exact.
No, it's closest wins. Closest gets a point.
Okay. 28.
28. And J-Mac, you're going for?
22.
22. Well, Matt takes it because Alexander Mitchell, at the age of 23, has 40 caps for.
Oh my god! Wow, I didn't even know
At
that.
that age, it's incredible. Now, we move on.
23.
At the age of 23, he has 40 caps. Now, Ross McCormack for Scotland. Jmac, you get to go first. How many caps has Ross McCormack got for Scotland?
I'm 34.
34. Matt?
I'll go a bit higher, 48.
Ross McCormack only had 13 caps for Scotland. So Jmac gets the point there.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Right,
Good away.
now on to a decent question. Mark Pembridge, how many caps did he get for Wales? Matt, you get to go first.
42.
Mark Pembridge, 42. And Jmac?
50.
Jmac gets the point because it was 54.
Oh,
By the way, I appreciate both of you not going for the one either side. I appreciate you're playing this honestly and not being complete dicks about it. Okay, Moussa Dembele, the first, because it's for Belgium. Who went first on that last script? I lost track. It doesn't matter. Okay, Matt, go. Oh no, Jmac goes first. Moussa Dembele, how many Belgian caps?
I'm gonna say 35.
35. Matt?
45.
45. Point goes to Matt because he has had 80 caps.
Right.
Exactly, more than I thought as well. And now finally, John Collins. John Collins. Not Collins John. John Collins. How many caps did he get for Scotland? Matt, you go first.
85.
85. Jmac?
I'll go a bit higher. 65.
Matt's at 85. The point goes to Jmac because he had 58.
Oh.
So you just got your numbers wrong way round, Matt. Otherwise, you got the point. Right, round 4. There are how many? Round 4. True or false? Okay, there's a true or false. Jmac, you get to go first again. Do you want set 1 or set 2?
I'm gonna go for set 2. Stick with set 2. Yeah.
Jmac going with step 2. Okay. True or false? Chris Coleman has less international caps than both Kit Simons and Andy Melville. True or false?
It's too bizarre to be. I mean, I'm going to say true.
That is correct. Andy Melville has 65, Kit Simons has 36, and Chris Coleman only had 32. Which was a surprise to me when I read it.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. Gary Payton made 33 appearances for the Republic of Ireland, but was born in Birmingham. True or false?
True.
Is
it on me?
No. It's still the same one. I'm going through you first. True or false? So, yeah, you got it. True. Andreas Stoikers, I'm praying I'm pronouncing that right, holds the appearance record for Latvia. True or false?
True.
It's actually false. And crikey, Vitalij Astaviez has 167, but Stoikers has 81, so less than half. True or false? Papa Bouba Diop famously scored the shock-winning goal in the group stages during the 2002 World Cup against tournament favourites Brazil.
True.
It's false. It was against France.
I'm just saying true to everything. But I'm joking. I did actually think that was true. Never mind.
No, it was in that opening game where Barthez let it through his legs. He had a knack for that. And final question: true or false? Clint Dempsey is the USA's all-time top goal scorer.
False.
It's actually true. He's joint top with Landon Donovan on 57.
Oh wow! I didn't even know that. That's not okay. Cool.
Let's see. 2, 3, 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. So you have 8. So, Matt, you're going to need a perfect score if you're going to win this. So, best of luck to you. Okay, so round 4. Set number 1. George Cohen, this again, true or false? George Cohen was selected in team of the tournament for the 1966 World Cup.
True.
That is true. He was selected alongside Gordon Banks, Bobby Moore, and Bobby Charlton. So you're on your way. True or false? George Cohen was also the vice captain to Bobby Moore throughout the tournament.
False.
It's actually true.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. So here's the thing: if Bobby Moore had somehow got injured, during the or sent off in the World Cup final, who don't know, then George
Wouldn't have
Cohn would
won
have been on top of the statue outside West Ham's ground, or we'd have just had one outside our ground. Who knows? Anyway, well, we've already got George Cohn's statue, but another one. Anyway, you get the drift. Anyway, moving on. Question 3: excluding Paul Parker, none of the Mickey Adams promotion squad gained international caps throughout their career. So basically, none of the team that got promoted under Mickey Adams had a single international cap. True or false?
Oh, I can't believe that. That's got to be false.
It is false. And this is a bit of a dick question. Rory Hamill gained 1 cap for Northern Ireland in 1999. So it's a bit of a trick on 1. Okay.
Well, I'll take that on luck.
Okay. 4. Question 4. Roy Hodgson managed England at more tournaments than Sir Bobby Robson. Feel free to do the maths, by the way.
Well, Roy Hodgson is 2, right? Bobby Robson. I can't think of one, so true.
It's actually false. It was 3 tournaments each.
Was it?
Bobby Robson had 2 World Cups and 1 European Championships, and Roy did 2 Euros and 1 World Cup.
Wow.
So, again, if you have any issues, blame Danny. And number 3, doing the maths. You've lost this anyway, but one for pride. True or false? George Best scored more goals for Fulham than he did for Northern Ireland.
It's a ridiculous question. False.
No, well, you got the point there. It is false. He scored 9 for Northern Ireland and just 8 for Fulham. So at the end of that, Matt has 7, but Jmac is this week's winner with 8. So no prize. No prize to you anyway. So I don't even know why we're playing for the point of fun. But anyway,
you get a pie.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, a pie. I promise we weren't going to talk about this.
Too late. The cat's out of the bag, mate.
Okay, right. Well, the blackbirds are out of the pie. But no. Let's not talk about it. Let's not talk. Right. We've got one more thing to get through, and it is still related to the internationals as we go into our final debate of the night.
Fulham.
Right, and this relates to our full-time question that we gave out on Saturday. And I personally can't care less, but you guys are both English, so I'll let you, run with this. Of the English players in our squad, that's Marcus Bettinelli, that's Ryan Sessegnon, Callum Chambers, Alfie Mawson, Joe Bryan. I'm sure I'm forgetting someone else, but of the English players that we have in our squad, who's going to be the first one, to break through and be a Fulham player with England, with an England cap? So I think Alfie Mawson's already been capped. I'm not 100% sure. Who's going to be the first one that breaks through and to be a Fulham player in the England squad? J-Mac, I'll give my opinion, even though it doesn't really matter. I think it's going to be Sessegnon, just because I purely think he's the best one of the lot. So, and I think he was the closest to being, there's a few talks about him going to the World Cup. So I think he's just the closest, furthest up the ladder, whichever way you wish to put at it. Now, that being said, Gareth Southgate's, worked with Marcus Bettinelli in his under-21 days, so maybe these 2 penalty saves are going to be enough to... No, 1 penalty save. I thought we did one earlier. This penalty save is going to be enough to get his attention and maybe get him up. But I personally think it's going to be Ryan Sessegnon, because I think he's the best of the lot. J-Mac, you first. Who's going to be the first one to make the breakthrough into the England squad?
O'Brien. I'm joking.
Really?
No, of course not. I think so. It will definitely be Ryan Sessegnon. I mean, I think Gareth Southgate was... I would have been quite annoyed if I was Gareth Southgate at the Burnley game, because Sessegnon didn't actually play. So I think he was there to actually see what he was like in action.
You had to watch Joe Hart instead.
I know exactly. What an absolute... what a kick in the teeth. I think it's obviously going to be Ryan Sessegnon. But what also we have to remember is that I think it'll be interesting what that does for us, because I think if Gareth Southgate has got Ryan Sessegnon in mind for the next few international games, is it a left back or a left winger role? And that's the question, because I can't see him replacing Sterling anytime soon, but I can see him replacing a left back. So, or the next Ashley Young. So I don't really. So it's an interesting one, and I think I'll be very interested to know what the position is that crops up for him. But definitely Ryan Sessegnon.
See, what's crucial to that is that Ryan Sessegnon was just selected for the England under-21 teams, and they listed him as a midfielder. So that gives you some indication of what.
Okay.
Who's the under-21 manager? Is Adi Boothroyd? Yes. Whoever the under-21 manager is for England, again, I don't care. Sees him as a winger / left forward, which however you want to produce that in a 4-3-3. That he sees him not as a defender, basically. So that's going to be crucial for him going forward. So he's part of the England setup as a winger. Matt, do you have anything on this? Please say someone other than Ryan Sessegnon. Others just turns into a pointless thing.
Well, I'll start with Sessegnon, even though he may not be my pick. You'll have to find out in a minute. Sessegnon, I think he's kind of at that point where he might get a call up, for experience, maybe get a place on the bench. I can't really see him playing for England until, he's at least had a good Premier League season under his belt. I think it's a bit too early for him, even though there's an outside chance he might get into the squad. I think it'll be Mawson, based on he's a similar kind of defender as to how Gareth Southgate is. He wants England to play. He's comfortable with the ball at his feet, and he seems the most ready-made at the moment. Sessegnon in the future, but if we're going in the next player to be called up, I think it'll be Mawson.
Again, if we want to get into a sort of formation-based thing, Gareth Southgate, if he continues how he did at the World Cup, going to be playing with 3 centre-backs, although Carl Walker was one of them, so maybe discount him, but basically playing with 3 central defenders at the back, means that there's more of a chance for Alfie Mawson to come back, because there's 3, plus you want to take some subs, there's really 5, maybe 6 centre-back spots available, whereas there's only really 1/2 places available for whoever would be Ryan Sessegnon. He'd be a left wing back if in the current Southgate formation. Yeah. So it would. We
know Southgate doesn't rate Chris Smalling at all, so that's another place gone. Moves him up the pecking order. I don't think there's that many in front of him, to be honest. I think he's got a good chance.
Okay. Again, I'm just thinking of the England centre backs ahead of him. John Stones is one of them. Harry Maguire is another. Like if we want to go Carl Walker as that right-sided defender, go for him. Phil Jones? Would you rather have Alfie Mawson or Phil Jones? This is coming into an England debate. I don't like it. Alfie Mawson or Phil Jones?
Mawson,
okay. Alfie Mawson or James Tarkowski?
Mawson.
Who else is in the debate? Alfie Mawson or Dan Burn?
He's the right back, though.
Who's now a Premier League player, by the way, because he signed for Brighton, so he's back in the Premier League in somewhat, despite being on loan. There's no one else. Like Gary Cahill's retired, so take him out. There's no Ben Mee doesn't crop up as a centre back, does he?
I wouldn't have thought he's in the reckoning, no.
Not in the reckoning. So Alfie Mawson, Callum Chambers, I think is probably far below Alfie Mawson on the pecking order. Alfie Mawson or Rob Holding is a crucial one as well.
Simply for the fact I think Mawson's got a bit more experience. I'd go for him.
I think Mawson also has a huge amount of leadership quality to him as well.
I think you could tell that in the Brighton game, couldn't you?
Exactly. Yeah, he came out and just spoke for the team and addressed all the problems that occurred. Like I think he'll be a future captain of ours. Actually,
that perfect. I was just going to say, do you see him as a potential captain then going forward, Jmac?
Definitely. He just. It sounds like a sort of like lazy thing to say, but he just looks like one. You know what I mean? He has the stature and the build and the way he communicates on the field, like on the pitch. Oh my god, I can't believe I just called it a field. The pitch, on the pitch. I mean, yeah, I can see him being our captain within the next few years. Hopefully, anyway.
Is that ahead of or instead of? Well, basically, instead of Kevin McDonald.
I think instead of. I think if things go as planned, Matt Mawson could step up to the captaincy next season, depending on what happens with Kearney. But I think, I don't know, the captain thing for us, I know Kearney's just not really our captain, in my opinion. I mean, he's the club captain, but he's not the captain on the pitch. He doesn't do all the talks. I don't. From what I'm told, I feel Mawson or McDonald were going to slip into the. Mawson will slip into the McDonald role much better.
That's fine. Which leaves us, that's the end of this week's Fulham Focus podcast. There's no fantasy preview to do this week because it's the international break, so there's no games. Unless you really want to predict 2 weeks into the future. Do you guys want to have a go at that? Predicting 2 weeks into the future for a fantasy pick? Just say Sergio Aguero and be done with it. Our first game back is Man City, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It is. Okay,
Yeah.
so Sergio Aguero. Maybe not.
Bettinelli. He'd have a lot of saves to make.
He will, indeed. Okay, he's going Bettinelli. I'll go Bettinelli as well, just for the hell of it. Unless there's any, further Fulham-based discussions that you want to have, whether or not Slav, should be wearing a tracksuit instead of a suit, anything like that, anything else you want to discuss?
Can I just say how lovely it was to be reminded about how much I can't stand Glenn Murray. It's not Fulham related.
He's been a thorn in our side in the past, hasn't he?
He has. He always scores against us. He's the absolute perfect pantomime villain. He's a cheat, and I can't stand him. So
views of Matt Domm and not those.
That's all I want to say.
For legal reasons. Right. If that's everything that's been done,
I was just going to say one thing actually.
Okay, go on.
Just a quick point. I think a lot of us were quite annoyed very quickly after the match of what happened with dropping 2 points. But I think we've got to remember that Brighton haven't lost a home game since January. And also the thing about Brighton is, and I speak on behalf of other fans that I've met, Brighton is the sort of mould we wanted to be when we saw them in the Championship. And the fact that they have done so well with Championship players that have now stepped into a Premier League gear, and that we can actually match them, and actually on the day we were better than them in many respects, is a sign of really good things to come. And also, all our goals that we've conceded so far have been from errors, individual errors and mistakes in communication. And that is just testament to the fact that we are a team that have not fully gelled yet. And I think we have good things to come.
Yeah, as I've said on many occasions, and I said in my August review piece, we're in a position. No, we're not in a position to be challenging for the top. So dropped points at this stage of the season aren't going to be, crucial to us. It's not a case of we can only lose no more than 6 games, say, in order to get into the top half. We can, in theory, lose more than 10 games and still be fine. Because I'm not buying into this whole we should be challenging for Europe straight away thing. Now, let's have a year of solidarity. Let's aim for 40 points, so on and so forth. So we can afford to drop points. Let's not make it a constant thing. But yeah, let's not get too caught up on dropping points away in September. Let's keep our heads about this whole thing. Which means it's time for us to wrap up this edition of the Fulham Focus podcast. I want to thank each and every one of you for listening. Please feel free to go on the Fulham Focus website or follow us on Twitter at Fulham_Focus. We've got plenty of articles. We've got plenty of more quizzes, better than the one that Danny put together tonight. There's Q&As, there's blogs, there's everything that you'd ever want from a fully unlicensed Fulham fan site. So by all means, go for it. Follow us on Twitter. You know what we do. Feel free to follow each of us on Twitter as well. I'm at MattRhys63, MattrHys 63. Jmac is on Twitter, and he is...
I am J McCormick. So JMACCORM, then the number 1 and CK.
And Matt is on Twitter, and he is...
Matt Domm _
Matt Domm _ okay. And other than that, it's all that's left for us to say is it's a goodbye from me. It's a goodbye from Jmac.
Cheerio.
It's a goodbye from Matt.
Goodbye.
And please, 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 come on, you Whites.
You Whites.
Come on, you Whites.